Last week we talked about your duct system and how the duct system in the attic could be a big part of positive and negative pressure and bringing humidity into your home. This week we're going to be talking about how those ducts get so dirty and what you can do to help prevent it, as well as monitor your home for pollutants. All right, welcome to ProCalcs University, folks. I'm Tom Platania, your host with the most. All right, we got a fun show for you today. We're going to be talking about following up from last week's video when we talked about the duct system in your attic and how we had negative and positive pressure, which could cause indoor air qualities and other issues in your home, mold, humidity, why load calcs are so important. We've talked about a lot of stuff, and we're going to have a lot more stuff in this series of perfect comfort in your home. But today we're going to be talking about the duct system and a little bit more details on how it gets dirty, but the proper way to clean it. And I know duct cleaning can be a very sore subject for a lot of people because there's a lot of scam artists out there. However, there are some really good duct cleaning companies out there. And if it's done the right way, based on the type of duct system you have, because there's multiple types of material used. Not every duct cleaning system is proper for the specific type of ducts that you have. If you do the right type, it can be very useful. But think about it. The first problem is if we have dirty ducts, how's the dirt getting in there? We're going to talk about that. But first, the hat challenge. All right, today's hat challenge, and we'll go into last week. Can you tell where this hat is from? Okay, and well, there's not too many places I could purchase this hat, but can you tell where this hat is from? What is the name of the place that this hat is from? It should be some fun, and put it in the comments down below along with, hey, I love Tom's hat challenges, so I'm going to smash that like button and I'm going to click subscribe and turn on that bell so I can see his hat challenges and see all the places that him and his beautiful wife went to throughout their travels. So let's talk about last week's hat real quick. And obviously it said Ireland across it. So I don't know, I'm taking a wild guess to say it was from Ireland, right? But what are the places that we went to in Ireland? That's the key. And if you watched our previous videos, I talked about our travels and gave some destinations that we went to. So that's what we're going to find out is, did you pay attention to the different places that we went to in Ireland? Those places that we went to in Ireland, we took a cruise up that way after we left. I think we were in Rome, Italy. We left Rome, Italy, and we took a cruise all the way up and around into London, but we went up into Ireland and we stopped at Belfast for a day. That was pretty cool. We had this taxi driver in Belfast, and it was just so funny, just him talking, just so outgoing. And he definitely was an honest man. He definitely wasn't there for the fainted heart or little kids conversation, but it was funny how we interacted. And then we went up to Dublin. And, very populated areas, but just beautiful, beautiful places. We went to one of these pubs in Ireland. That's one of the oldest pubs, like, I don't know, like 1792 or something like that was how old the pub was. And when we went there, of course, I'm in Ireland. Well, what two things, if you like to drink, are you going to want when you go to Ireland? Irish whiskey and Guinness, right? Those are the two things. Well, I'm not a beer drinker, and anytime I've ever tasted Guinness over here, it's like drinking mud. Irish whiskey, that's good stuff. But when I went there, just for the experience, I got a little glass of Guinness. Night and day. I would drink the Guinness from Ireland all day long. It was delicious. It wasn't just muddy. It was fresh. It was clean. Oh, it was so good. And then, nice Irish whiskey. So got that out of the way. We got back on the boat. We went around to a little fishing town called Killybegs, Ireland. It's on the northwest coast. And I want to show you a picture that I took. Look at this. This this is what I see when I think of Ireland. This is what I see is just thick, lush green pastures with these little farmhouses on the river banks. Just absolutely beautiful. This is from the balcony on our cruise ship that we were on. I think we took this one. I forget why. I forget Oceania. This might have been, which was our first time ever doing Oceania. But anyway, so Killybegs, beautiful little place. We had a great time. We were only there for the day, and then we ended up leaving. But a great place. So that's for the hat last week, and this week you got the hat. Where is it from? Where did I purchase this, and what location did we go to? All right. So today we're talking about ductwork. How does the ductwork get dirty? But how do we clean it when it gets dirty? And those are the things we're going to talk about. So the first thing we want to talk about is how does the ductwork get dirty? Well, we talked about the filters, okay? Now, the indoor air quality in your home, because of leaky ducts and everything, could be 2 to 5 times more polluted than the outside air, all right? You think to yourself, well, how could that be? The outside's got all this garbage, the smoke and the pollutants and all this other stuff. How could that be cleaner than the air in my home? I clean all the time. I dust, I vacuum. Well, one thing is outside we have all the air and it's circulating and it's blowing contaminants around. So pollutants per air, or the molecules are much lower. But in your house, everything is more confined. It gets stuck in there. It gets stuck into fabrics and different things like that. And when you see this video, we're actually going to have some links to some devices that you can get through that go to Amazon that pretend we recommend. We don't specifically recommend these because they're the best in the world. They're just 2 that we picked out that we thought were a good deal and are going to serve the purpose. They'll help you to see how polluted the air in your home is and then allow you to do some things about it. But first, let's find out how it's getting there. Well, a lot of that stuff gets up into our ductwork because we're not using the right filters. And if we're not using the right filters, we're not filtering out the air. The air conditioner, because it circulates so much air in the house, all of your air goes through those vents and ducts at one point in time. Well, what better place to help filter the air as it's going through there? And if you're exchanging that air 10, 15 times every time the air conditioner turns on, you have 10 to 15 times for that air to go through a proper filter, a good filter. Not those cheap 50-cent baseball filters that you get at the store. You got to get something that's got some premise to it, that's got a good MERV rating. And we'll talk a lot more detail in another video specifically about filters. All right, so let's think of it this way. So here it is, fresh, clean air on the outside, but then you get inside your home and you got all these pollutants sticking to the wall and the carpets and just all this, because all that stuff is porous. So it brings that stuff in. And I vacuum couches and stuff, but do we wash our pillows all the time from the couches if we have them? Do we wash the outsides of the cushion all the time? Do we have it clean? Most of the time, no. And a lot of the people that, if you're cleaning or you have somebody coming in to clean your house, they don't always pull the couch back and sweep under the couch or vacuum or mop. So all that stuff ends up breeding and festing, and then the air conditioner pulls it up, and if you don't have a good filter, it's going to get stuck in your duct system. So making sure we use a good filter, but also making sure that the ductwork is sealed, like we talked about last week, making sure it's really well sealed, having someone come out using a duct blaster, pressurizing the system, or negative pressure, they can do it either way, and making sure, typically pressurized, but making sure that there are no leaks, or the leaks are very, very, very minimal, is going to help to keep your home clean or keep the ductwork clean. And also make sure that you're filtered, because if I have a really good filter, but I'm letting air get into the system on the other side of the filter, so it's not being filtered, I'm pretty much creating my own problem. And that's the biggest and best place to capture things. Now, they do have things that the UV lights and whatnot, but you got to be careful why you're using the UV lights. UV lights are not designed to instantly clean the air as it goes through. Air typically goes too fast across a standard UV light for it to have enough time to neutralize that. Most of the time, most UV lights are there to help shine on the coils and the immediate part of the duct system to help clean and reduce particles and pollutants and whatnot in that area. But very few, if any, UV lights are good enough to be able to cleanse the air as fast. I mean, air as fast as it's going through. I mean, air is going through that air handler at anywhere from 350 to 1,000 feet per minute. And, you know, most of our residential UV lights can't work that quick. So when they shine for periods of time on your coil, any contaminants or dust mite or bacteria that get on there, that UV light can help rid and kill off those pesky things that are on there. So keeping that duct system clean will be a big help when it comes to keeping good indoor air quality in your home. All right, so let's look at another slide here that shows your filter. Now, this here is a 4-inch filter. Now, this, as you can see, it's going to capture a lot of stuff right here. This is dirty, this is clean. The problem with a filter this thick is typically most HVAC companies and most, believe it or not, engineers, mechanical engineers, do not factor in the ability for someone to put a filter like this. This filter is going to have a very big restriction when it comes to the air going through. I mean, think about it. You're taking this, you got all this free-flowing air, and then you put this big old filter in the way. Now, the filter does have, and you can see these little things are basically folds. So it's actually a flat piece, and then it's just folded up to make these little spaces here. So in theory, if you were to unravel this and flatten it out, I mean, it could be 25 to 30 feet long, flat. But by making it accordion style like this, you get a lot more surface area in such a small filter area. You know, this is probably like a 20 by 24 or something like that. Now, these are good, but the problem again is that as the air goes across, if your device, your air handler, is not powerful enough and the ductwork's not large enough, you're going to create too big of a restriction, and you're going to have problems with the air handler. It's not going to be able to handle it. And if it's a variable speed unit, those motors are designed to ramp up as high as they possibly can to maintain the amount of air they should be pulling. So if you have an air handler that's super, super noisy, there's a good chance that your ductwork is undersized, or you have the wrong size filter in there, or the filter is restricting it too much. That causes that motor to scream that it just can't handle it anymore. All right, but clean and dirty. Well, this is what we want. We want the filter to capture that air before it's getting into the duct system, so we can keep that ductwork nice and clean, not have to worry about contaminants growing, because that's probably the biggest part. Not probably, it is. It's the biggest part of indoor air quality in your home. And if you don't keep that clean, it's unseen. You don't see up inside your ductwork. You see the vent, but you really don't see up and inside the ductwork. So you could have all kinds of nasty stuff growing up in there. So having the right people come out and the right method, we're going to talk about that in a minute, to ensure that the ducts are clean. Now, once they're cleaned, now we need to focus on fixing the problem. The problem is we got dirt and stuff getting into that ductwork that shouldn't be getting into there. So now we got to find out. We got to strategize. We got to play detective, and we got to figure out how is that getting in there. Okay, and that's where the duct testing comes in, to find out how leaky the ductwork is, and also making sure that we have a good filter, but making sure that the system is large enough, and the ductwork's not system large enough size-wise, tonnage-wise, but the ductwork and whatnot, and the motors are able to handle the restriction of having a much better filter. Now, a filter like this, if you have the MERV rating, and we're going to talk about this, this is at the high end of the spectrum, 13, 14, 15 plus, which is great. It's going to capture a lot of minute particles, and we'll talk about that in another chapter, another series video. All right, so here is, let me kind of move myself out of the way a little bit and shrink myself down here just a little bit for you. Pretty cool how I can do that, right? So when we look here, this is a flexible duct system, okay? Flexible duct is the least expensive because flex duct isn't cheap unless somebody buys cheap flex duct. Flex duct can be very expensive, but it's not as expensive as rigid fiberglass ductboard or metal duct systems or whatnot. But also, the installation process is much more simplistic, which requires less technical knowledge to install it. And that's why if you're in South Florida or a lot of these other states where these people are just trying to make a buck and they want to do it as quickly as they possibly can, flex duct's the way these HVAC contractors are going to go. And the other part of it is I don't have to have somebody that I got to pay $20, $30, $40, $50 an hour to that knows how to cut rigid ductboard. Cutting rigid fiberglass ductboard is a talent. Not everybody can do it. It is very complex and very detailed. You got to know what you're doing. So the few people out there that can do it, my hat's off to you. Flexible duct, it's as much as putting two pieces together, putting some tape and straps over it, putting some mud on it like drywall mud, done. Walk away. I mean, a 10-year-old could do it. But it's the design that goes into it. Anyway, I get off on tangents sometimes. So here is your dirty duct with all these particles. Now you see this, all these are rigid because you have this metal. It's like, I know a long time ago, we used to have these round tunnels that we would crawl through as kids. That's basically what this is with insulation around the outside. So it's got this wire that goes down the center, the spiral wire. You can see it here, right? The spiral wire here is going down. Then it's got this material on the outside. It's kind of like a vinyl in some of them, and some of them it's more of like I don't know exactly what you would call it, but let's just use vinyl as a key. It's plastic. I should have looked this up. I should have prepared better, but hey, I'm not perfect, right? So it covers the spiral. Well, what happens is because you have the spiral, the air is going across it, and the dust and debris gets caught up in those spirals, and you can see how that dust collects as the air goes across. This is before it was cleaned. This is after it was cleaned. Or you can say when this was installed in the very beginning, this is what it looked like. And then after we had leaks in our ductwork, we didn't have a good filter, and we had all these other problems, this is what our ductwork looked like. Now, this is potentially what the right type of duct cleaning can provide to you. All right, let's look at another one. This one here is, this is sheet metal duct, okay? And typically you'll find sheet metal duct in northern climates. You do still see it some down here, but it's very expensive, and because of the corrosive environment, they can tend to have issues. But up north, when I started in New Jersey at a company in Vineland, New Jersey, busting out boilers and doing duct systems, they have a massive workshop in the back where that's all they do is this metal duct system. So you'll see that a lot up north where it's not as hot and humid, and you have a lot of cold weather where they're running heaters through this and whatnot. But this is what it looks like dirty, and this is what it looks like clean. Or this is what it looks like when it's newly installed, and this is what it looks like after you've had leaky ducts and all these other problems. Now, the fiberglass duct system, which is a thick board, it could be 1 inch or 1.5 inches. It's fiberglass, and then it's got a foil coating on the outside that helps to maintain its structural integrity. Basically, the inside looks very similar to this, but it does have fiberglass on the inside. They do put a coating on it to help with microbials and whatnot sticking to it, but they still can stick to it because it's not a perfectly smooth edge. And you can see here with this metal duct that's smooth as could be, you're still getting particles trapped on it. All right. Now, with the rigid duct system, the fiberglass duct system, they do make them now where they have antimicrobial lining on the inside that helps with anything that gets on it, and it won't grow because of the antimicrobial coating. So let's look. Now, let's talk about ways to clean your ductwork. Now, the flex duct system, because it's round and because it's much more delicate, as I should say, there's certain things that you can't, certain process, certain cleaning types that you should not. I'm not saying people don't do them. You know, you can get away with it sometimes, but I've heard and seen a lot of horror stories where people using the wrong cleaning and they end up ripping the duct system. And well, because they're not up in the attic doing it, they're shoving hoses up through the vents and whatnot. They don't know that the duct broke because of the type of process they're using. And we'll talk about that in a second. Now, the best type of duct cleaning, and it can't be used in every home as far as the layout of the house. So there's certain homes that you might not be able to, depending on how big the duct system is or depending on how many different levels of the house. But find a good duct cleaning company that can give you the recommendation. This is an AI version of a vacuum truck for duct cleaning. And what this does is this giant hose, just like a regular vacuum, is sucking from inside the house. Okay? And inside the house, you have this guy. And this guy, I don't know if he's going to be in quite a hazmat suit like that, but they're probably going to because of all the dust. They take that, and here's your return grill. So some of them will cover this off and then put their vacuum hose in that. They seal all the supply ducts, okay, and then they create a vacuum pulling all that dust and debris in there. Now, depending on the type of duct system, they may have another tool that they simultaneously use with that to help break particulates and whatnot off of the ductwork. And herein lies the problem. There's two different types. There's a brush system, and usually the brush system, like this, would go up inside, and it's very soft bristled, and this will spin. And as it's spinning, it's supposed to, with the right size, it's gently scrubbing the sides of the system. Now you can see here, this is a flexible duct that he's sticking this up in, okay? And if it's done properly and gently enough, you could slowly scrub the side of that. And this here is a vacuum. So while it's breaking up the particles, it sucks it in. But they can also coincide this with the giant vacuum. So they're creating a constant suction to the outside, and then they're breaking up some of those particles with this duct brush. All right, and they used to have a device before they got into the big vacuums. They had a thing called a roto brush, and that's probably what we're looking at right here is a roto brush, which has a rod in the middle that spins this, and then this is a vacuum. So as you're sucking it up in there and it's spinning around, cleaning that debris off, it's vacuuming it out at the same time. Problem with this is that it's not going to capture everything. Some of the stuff is going to fall. So having that giant vacuum also helps. Just have the right company come out and give you a rundown, give you an explanation, and talk to them about, well, I have a flex duct system. What type of thing are you going to use? All right. Now, here is the one type of duct cleaning that I recommend unless you have a metal duct system that you, in my opinion, to completely stay away from. And that is this. It's a whip style thing. What it does is it basically, those little things whip around and smack the sides of the duct to break loose any particles. And then they'll use this vacuum to suck it out. But if you don't have a metal duct system, or your fiberglass duct, rigid duct board is not very sturdy, this thing whipping around can cause problems. I've seen it break holes where two pieces of rigid board were not properly sealed and there was a tape opening. And that whip, as it was spinning around, whipped a hole in the duct, in the tape. and caused a bigger opening. Now, I would never use this on flexible duct because it's just too delicate with the material that's in there, and you'll bust holes in that thing all day long. So stay away from this. Most folks living in South Florida are going to have flexible duct. So this is one that just stay away from it. Don't even consider it. But again, get the right HVAC duct cleaning company out there. Don't fall for these people with the $59. I'll come and clean your duct system, and they make you think they're going to clean the whole thing, and then they come out and go, well, that was only for 5 ducts. You got 32 ducts, and well, we don't do this and we don't do that. And after everything's said and done, they're already in your house, and your bill's $300, $400, $500. Okay, get 3 estimates, and don't look at the estimates as in a price. Look at the people that are coming to do it, and are they creating enough value for you regardless of the price? Because I'd rather pay $400 and get it right because the people know what they're doing. Not that Joe down the street had a good rapport with them, but that they made me feel and had the right answers and the right information and gave me the stuff that I need to feel confident and secure that they were going to do a good job. Okay? So making sure that your ducts are sealed right and that you have the right thing. So we want to make sure if we clean the ducts, they should stay fairly clean for a long time, 5, 10 plus years, if they're sealed properly, if we got the right filter, and we're making sure that we keep up with that and maintain it. If you have a service contract with your HVAC company, a good HVAC company, you can easily ask them to check things out. Hey, while you're up there, just want to make sure all the tape and all the ductwork is still good, that if it's strapped up, because in theory, when a flexible duct system is installed in the attic, you are supposed to have support every 4 feet. I think there's maybe 10% of houses I've ever been in that had that. Nowadays, it's supposed to be mandatory for new construction and whatnot, but again, it's only as good as the inspector. And well, I know some inspectors that they won't even climb in an attic. They'll just talk to the technician. If the technician says, yep, I got straps every 4 foot. Yep, okay, you're good to go. And you walk up there and there's ducts laying on top of the trusses and floor joists and all this stuff, and it's not good. But dirty ducts is because we have a problem someplace. Don't just get it cleaned and then think, oh, I've cleaned it. I'm good to go for another 10 years. Let's fix the problem. Let's not just put a Band-Aid on it by cleaning it. Let's find out where the dirt and debris is getting into. Let's get it cleaned, and then let's fix it. Let's plug up those holes. Let's put a good filter in, and let's make sure that we're doing our justice by helping to ensure. Now, again, I talked about a couple of the items that we're going to have, some little monitors. There's one that we have on there that goes to the iPhone. You can actually just a little portable device and then have the items on your iPhone to show you what type of particulates and different things in there. It does a bunch of stuff. There's another one that's a little bit bigger that shows you everything. Your volatile organic compounds, your particles in the air. I mean, all this different stuff. I think it's even a carbon monoxide detector. So it's a real good tool to help you. There's a lot of other ones on there. I don't want to push you to buying those specific ones that we have listed. They're not a specific recommendation. They're just a guide for you to start there and then decide what other one fits your budget, also fits your needs. All right, so I hope we got some good information a little bit. Remember, I'm trying to keep these videos to a minimum. I mean, I could sit here and talk about this stuff all day long. I mean, you could tell that I'm shy when it comes to talking, right? But I want to make sure that we're giving you a little bit of stuff. Put your comments in down below. If you have more questions or you want something specifically to talk about duct cleaning or duct work and how things are leaking, put it in the comments and let us know what you're thinking. And we'll be happy to create videos for you, reply back to comments, send you some documentation. ProCalcs is here to help you. And we just want to help educate people out there that could potentially easily get scammed from others out there. And, you know, there's a lot of them out there. So keep in touch. Folks, it's been awesome chatting with you today. And don't forget the hat challenge. Don't forget to click the like button, thumbs up, and the like button, and subscribe with the bell, and make sure everything goes good so you get all the notifications of all the videos. Again, we're going to be posting these every Friday. I forget what time the girl said, but when I do the next video, I promise you I'll be better prepared to where I have the times that we're going to be posting them. I thought it was 10 o'clock in the morning, but I think ChatGPT told us there's a better time for us to be posting these. So, all right, so we'll see you folks next week. Don't forget about the hat challenge. And remember, you can teach the right person anything. You can't teach the wrong person anything. Are you the right person?